Being 9 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we need to approve the agenda. Any additions or corrections or deletions or whatever?
Make a motion to approve the minutes and the agenda, or the
Well,
agenda.
let's go with agenda
I just
first.
finished the minutes, that's why.
Don't
Okay.
don't be in too much of a hurry.
Okay.
No, okay.
I don't have any additions. So move to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Then we need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
That's my cup of tea. I read the minutes, they look good. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Is there anyone who wishes to make an opening public comment?
Brian Van Gorp, Yucatan Township.
Morning.
Morning. As you're probably aware, the comprehensive land use plan is supposed to be updated every 10 years according to statute, and ours is over 20 years since the last update. In the last few months, a couple of things have illustrated why our current plan is out of date. First, a large CAFO for hogs was proposed in the county, which later was withdrawn. But Fillmore County is currently facing that issue with the 5,000 head swine CAFO, and it'll return to us. A different proposal, probably. I was raised on a hog farm and worked with hogs much of my life, and I do eat pork. However, I do not want to live next to a large swine facility such as this. If any of you say that you do want to, I would question your honesty. The land rights nuts would be the first to object if this was happening upwind from their residence. The second issue is the recent climate change studies. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, done by some of the best scientists and climatologists from all around the world, was released last month. Last week, the United States government released a report from 13 agencies, including NASA and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, reporting on climate change. The conclusions were strikingly similar. We have approximately a decade to make about a 50% reduction in greenhouse gases to avoid catastrophic outcomes, including causing positive feedback loops that will be irreversible. This means that we in Houston County have to make some sacrifices and changes because we, like everyone, are part of the problem and will suffer consequences. A couple of things being done in other areas as examples of changes are: in California, it requires all new construction to install solar panel roofs. Changing agriculture practices to build more organic matter in the soil is the best way to sequester carbon that we know of. And crop yields are predicted to decrease in the Midwest due to climate change over the next decade or two. Sequestering carbon in the soil has additional benefit for increasing crop yields by better holding water and reducing erosion at the same time. An obvious win-win. These are the kinds of issues that should be considered in a rewrite of the land use plan. The previous plan did not consider these challenges. Allow me to make a suggestion on how the rewrite might begin. I think we need broad inclusion. This will allow both an educational opportunity and easier acceptance of the final product by allowing a robust and necessary debate. By this I mean the inclusion of representative voices from various interests, and including people who are knowledgeable, make fact-based decisions, and take a long view. Short-term economics are important, but not the only consideration. Clean air and water, preservation of healthy soils, scenic beauty, infrastructure, things that will get the best and most ambitious of the next generation to return or stay in the county are also important. The best of the next generation currently leave due to a lack of affordable housing, career opportunities, and a lack of diversity. At a minimum, voices representing ecology, agriculture, forestry, tourism, young people, and public health should be included. And there should be a professional moderating the discussion so that the process allows all voices to be heard and no interest group to dominate. What do we want this county to look like in 50 or 100 years? That is what we must explore and make decisions based upon. Thank you.
May I?
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Brian, thank you for that. Wonderful suggestions. Just to let you know, that is, the comprehensive use plan is definitely something we are already in the works on and addressing. I'm working with Aaron Larcher to develop a long-range plan and not a cookie cutter, get this document done and move on. So we are working over the next month or so to lay out a roadmap for the whole plan. Our intent is to kick off the initiative in early 2019. We estimate it'll be a 6 to 9 month process to develop this plan, and certainly that is our goal as we lay this out, is getting inputs from all walks of life across the county. And in running the plan, there will be roles for all the commissioners involved to run segments of that. There will be roles for the different committees that we have at the county to have a leadership role in that plan, but it will certainly involve a broad swath of citizens across the county to have input into that plan. And so we're laying that roadmap out so that we get the right people working on the right chunks of the plan.
Maybe even citizens could be involved in the process of developing how this is to be carried out.
Okay, we'll look at that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff and Jack and Aaron Locker and I were involved in a meeting a week or two ago to discuss exactly what's just been talked about. So we are well on the road to getting that situation going. Are there any other public comments? Okay, now I'll ask it this way. Will everyone who wishes to make a public comment please, at the opening of the meeting, please let me know now, because I have a time budget that I have to be careful of. And if we start going all the way around the room and everybody gets that much time, all of a sudden it's 9:30 and we've got a problem. So is there anyone else besides Mr. Kumichael who wishes to make a public comment at the beginning of the meeting?
I'll defer to the last.
Okay. You'll wait, what?
I'll defer to the last comment.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Bruce. We move to appointments. Mr. Locker isn't here yet.
Well,
Wasn't Eric, was he at the Finance Committee?
yeah.
Yeah.
We can press with that. You have in front of you the resolution for
Oh, okay.
adopting the solid waste plan. I don't know that Aaron had much more to add today. The plan has been shared as appropriate and out for public comment. There were no significant public comments to address and change, so the plan is present it as is, and it's the ordinance is in front of you to put that plan into place. So it all, I think,
We have discussed that in the past
Yeah.
to quite an extent.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the solid waste 10-year management plan.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? There's been a lot of discussion about this previous meetings, and so it's just a matter of approval, I think. No other comments? Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now.
Good morning, Emily Johnson. Emily Johnson with the Houston County Fair Board. A couple of years ago, the appropriation that we received is we get $20,000, and then pending board approval, after our financials are turned in, we can request an additional $4,000. So that is why we are here today. I believe you guys all have financial statements in front of you. We did have a good 2018 fair. Of course, the weather on Thursday night didn't cooperate with us, but it's a gamble we take. It's an outdoor event. Overall, we had very, very good feedback. A lot of people came in from Iowa, Wisconsin, positive feedback that way. They had never been to our fair before.
I think the Fair Board's done a very good job over the last few years reorganizing your whole system, your finances, and even the fair. There again, it's so weather dependent, but it was good. And when I stopped there, there's lots of people going through. That's a good thing.
Definitely.
And it's been good for our 4-H. Our 4-H is growing quite a bit because of a good fair that we have. But
Now, your financials say that you made 48,000 this year, approximately.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
Now, Carol took a look at them, and there's some questions. So-
Justin,
Yeah.
I'm wondering on this, we have several appropriations
Yep.
to go through.
Sure.
And we haven't really taken the time or asked Carol to really study any of those other budgets or any of those other financial reports.
Sure.
I wonder if we should just lump them all together and ask Carol to go through them and see if she has any questions about those financial statements. And then if there's any questions, we can get back to the organization involved.
Okay, so do you want to
And-
just
Yeah.
hold off on anything?
Yeah,
I was gonna suggest that too, to get a better handle on
do we got budgets from all of our appropriations?
the, yeah.
yeah.
And I know some of them are statute, mandated,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so just wait on any
Yeah.
financial stuff for a while?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, just wait, and
Maybe you
then,
want to
no.
meet with Carol to go over any questions she might have.
Well, I would suggest that the Agricultural Society bookkeeper, that you give Carol the name and contact information of your bookkeeper, and then if Carol has any questions, why she can contact that person.
Okay. So at this time, because
That would be,
the 2018 appropriation yet, not going into 2019.
Oh, you're asking
Right, because
for 2018
right,
yet?
because a couple of years ago when we had the awful storms in 16, you guys erased the debt that we had, and then it was brought up that we get
That's right.
20,000 in January to bring our financials back in November, because that's the end of our year, and then you agree or disagree at that point about increasing that by $4,000. This has nothing to do going forward into January's appropriation set out.
For 18,
Yep,
2018.
this is still in 2018.
Oh, that's
Well,
right, Justin, I kind of remember that.
still, yeah. Yeah, so we can't delay this forever.
Not
it
this
needs to be-
particular 18.
Yeah,
Payable.
we need to get this done in 18 then. So, and Carol's aware of that, so.
Carol,
Okay.
is there money in the 2018 budget to appropriate another 4,000 to the fair?
When it was first approved, it was actually to be paid in January. Even though it was for the 17 information, it was paid in January. So our budget actually reflects that in 2018, they were paid for the 17, and so our 19 budget would include the additional $4,000 to be paid in January that's for the 18 report.
Okay.
Okay. I just know that through the motion, we had to come back and review our financials with you to.
Right.
to
Like,
get that
and that's good.
additional.
I guess that's what I'm getting at is if we haven't reviewed the financials, and that was part of the,
Yeah,
The-
we haven't had an opportunity really to review them thoroughly.
right,
And so we aren't really equipped to say, okay,
mhm.
yeah. We have an obligation to the taxpayers to review financials, and so we're just doing that. So,
Well, we're following our part of it, and we brought our financials here.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Then I suggest to the board to table this until the December 11th meeting, at which point you can
Yeah.
make a decision.
We'll make a decision December 11th, yeah.
I would make that motion to table this till the 11th.
Second.
moved and seconded to table until the 11th. Any further discussion?
Maybe you should have the bookkeeper and you folks meet with Carol in case she has any questions ahead of that time.
I will do so.
Okay, whoops.
Do we want to take the opportunity to discuss some other issues now, or do you want to, we'll do that later, at the 11th meeting?
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll tell you later. At some point,
Okay. Our next agenda
Next
item
item
is-
on the agenda is Tess, and just as a warning to you, she's probably going to be asking for a closed session if you looked at your minutes, if that's your agenda, so I don't know whether she's going to do that before she sits down or not.
Well, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Administrator. I am asking for a closed session to discuss strategy for labor negotiations. And this is pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D03, subdivision 1. And so at this time would request,
I would move to end or suspend this meeting and move to a closed session at this point.
Second.
Moved and seconded to go to closed session. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. We're in closed session. Come back to open session. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes for what?
We'll take a 5-minute recess at this point. Well, you want to get your thing said so that he's got it down. Okay, do that.
we had a closed session to discuss strategy for labor negotiations. There is no action to discuss in open meeting at this time.
Okay.
Discuss our strategy.
Okay, you wanna
going
just tell them
forward
they
with
had their
negotiations.
break, we didn't have ours.
Yep,
And no
that's right.
motion coming out of it for the public session.
Okay. We'll take 3-4 minutes at this point.
Gonna have a short break. You folks had yours, we didn't get ours, so.
Okay, we're back in session. And
Is down.
next on the agenda is action items. Can we do all of them together, or do we need to do them separately?
yeah, there's nothing of any.
I think action items,
Heavy
we have
cut.
to go one, we have to read in motion each one separately. Consent
Okay.
agenda
Yeah.
we can do as one, but not.
The action items, we can't do, okay.
I'd make a motion to approve the claims, Human Service and License Center disbursements.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Number 2, reappoint Tim McCormick and Dan Getzinger to the Crooked Creek Watershed Board.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Tim McCormick and Dan Gessinger.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Both those people have agreed to serve again, so it's okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. The next one?
Approve requests for peddler's license for the following individuals representing Platinum Insurance, 137 Main Street, Dubuque, Iowa, for the period of November 26th to December 26th. Anybody familiar with this organization at all?
Standard application process. The applications were submitted to Michelle's office. They went over to the sheriff's office for a review and a background check on the individuals, which came back clear on all the individuals that have applied.
Worst
And
thing
so
was
it's
they were from Iowa. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
yeah. And then
Hey. Easy on that.
and then back to the board for permission to authorize the
All right.
permits.
I would move to approve the peddler's license requests.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Consent agenda. Jeff?
Yeah, we have one HR action today, and that is let me read it right here properly. Sorry. That's to affirm the hire and assignment of Chad Reddy, transitioning from a jailer dispatcher position to a probationary lead jailer dispatcher position effective on the 12th of December. And I have it on here again, but it was on the last list, and that, of course, is to affirm the recruitment of a jailer dispatcher to backfill him in that position.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Mr. Carmichael, I remember you had something you wanted to talk about at the end of the meeting.
You guys aren't gonna talk? Are you gonna make your comments at home?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they supersede yours.
I'm sorry. I missed a line. Thank you. I missed a line. Teresa.
I didn't have any special meetings.
Just the TNT meeting last night, which most of us were at.
I had a meeting with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center, and I have a letter here from the chair of that committee addressed to Commissioner Emily Piper of the Minnesota Behavioral Health Committee, or head of mental
Department of
health.
Health,
Yeah. And I'll just briefly or quickly read it. Dear Commissioner Emily Piper, this letter is to inform you from the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center Board of Directors that Ms. Julie Hansen, Executive Director, is no longer employed by the organization. This became effective on November 15th. Any official communication should be sent to the chairperson of the Board of Directors, Larry Connery, at Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center, Winona office. Blah, blah. In addition, the interim director, Jennifer Klinger, should receive a copy of the communication. The Board of Directors has delegated interim management to Ms. Klinger, who is working directly with a team of qualified managers. The Board of Directors is in the process of a diligent search for an executive director who will meet the qualifications for a mental health center director in compliance with Minnesota State Statute Rules 9520-0200 Center Director. The Board of Directors' intent is to inform you of the hire of a new executive director as soon as possible. And as I mentioned, we have had a couple of quite lengthy meetings. There's a lot of regulations in terms of you just don't hire somebody that doesn't have specific qualifications. So it's a concerted effort to find that person that fits the needs. We actually, as a county, use Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center frequently. They have an office right over by, what was that, used to be Freddy's or whatever that bar for sale is over there. And I've met with John Puglisa already to discuss any issues that might occur in the interim, and he's cognizant now of the change, and so we're just working to go forward. And other than that, of course, I was at the meeting last night too, which was an interesting meeting. We had a lot of comments. Taxes do get the public's attention. There's no doubt about that. So that's it. Oh, and I did want to highlight.
Go ahead.
Again, we mentioned this at the last meeting. Fred and I discussed it at some length. We have a new EDA director, the one that replaced our lady that had been here for a while, stayed about 3 weeks.
Well, it's a little longer than that. I think it was 2 months.
Was it that long?
Yeah, I don't have any idea where he went or why he resigned, but in any event,
think he's
he resigned from CETA.
Yeah.
He didn't just quit here. He resigned from CETA.
Yeah, he's
So-
going into private business apparently. So we have somebody that they are transitioning in, but what we would like to enter into discussions about, we mentioned at the last meeting, and that's the rural issues that we have in Houston County, and the state has. This is from the business section of yesterday's Minneapolis Star Tribune. Rural stress test. Farm bankruptcy on the rise. The number of farm bankruptcies in the 12 months ending in June were more than double the number of bankruptcies over the same period in 2013 and 14, both in Minnesota and across the region. So again, as we had mentioned, Houston County still is heavily agricultural. It's a struggling sector. If we can do something from a county perspective to aid this issue, to do something to help people that are in these stressful situations, that's what we want to explore. So that's it.
And a little bit of follow-up on that, of course, as we talked about, I think last week, or maybe it was a week before, Jeff met with Mike Cruz, the Ag Extension man, and the EDA gentleman who has left about a month ago, I think it was, and they discussed ways that they might be able to implement some help. And of course then the EDA person leaves, so that's on hold until we get the new EDA person on board, and I'm hoping that that'll be quite soon. It's someone that did grow up in this county, so I would assume that things would go reasonably smoothly on that.
Brett is actually on, his effective date is December 28th. So he will be, along with Courtney, transitioning Allison Wagner.
Yeah.
That is the new person, and she has been working in the city of Caledonia. Through, first she was an employee, then working with CETA for Caledonia on grants. So she is familiar with.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, that will help a lot. I also learned some things this morning. I always learn things at the Finance Committee meeting, but I learned one thing this morning that I think we should highlight a bit. Basically, in light of last night's meeting. And that is the combination that we are working on. I think I probably used the wrong word, but okay, the health and human services areas. And both the health finance person and the human services finance person were at this morning's meeting, and they both were very enthusiastic and upbeat about some of the things that they are able to do now as far as coordinating those two areas so that they get more done and so that it makes more sense for the people that we are serving. I wish that I had had this morning's meeting before last night's meeting, but that's the way it goes, and I hope some of those people will listen to what I've said this morning. That's all I have. So, well, I should add one thing on this farm financial thing. I've referred to this before. My daughter is an ag loan officer. She works with farmers. She spent 2 hours in a combine with a man who has been in farming. He's about 45, 50 years old, been in farming all his life. He's done a good job. She says financially he's one of the more responsible farmers that she works with. And they spent 2 hours in that combine trying to figure out where he was going to get the money to put next spring's crop in. He's never had that problem before. All of a sudden he's got it. Only thing left on the agenda is to adjourn.
No,
Public
we need
comment.
Bruce, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I omitted you. First I promoted you, then I omit you. You've got a real problem with me this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Is this on?
Hope not.
Press the
Yes.
Might
There you
not
go.
be there. Now you're
Good
on.
morning, Commissioners. Thanks for the banter. When the county attorney first came on board, just about 4 years ago, at some point after a bit, he came back to you and asked for additional monies for himself because he was doing administrative work for the county, not lawyering work for the county. And this bump up was granted to him, which is fine, I guess. I don't know. But now we have a county administrator, and the attorney shouldn't be doing the administrative work that the current CA is doing. And therefore, when it comes to setting salaries for non-union people in the county, I certainly would like you to consider seriously that whatever salary increase that might be available would not be based on the current level of salary, but rather based on the original salary before the bump up. It's nice to have a little sunset every once in a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yvonne Krogster, Caledonia Township. I just wanted to make a comment with the comprehensive land use plan updating coming up. I went online and looked at Fillmore County and Winona County's plans, and I noticed in Winona County they have a section for each township because of the different landscapes. And I don't know that you would want to go, township by township, but it might be good to have possibly strips where, say, along the river that addresses the properties of that bluff land, and different parts of the county might be addressed with a different topography in the county.
Thank you, Yvonne. Any further public comments? Now it's time to move to the last item on the agenda.
I would move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Was that just because you were not quite ready to jump, or was it because you're really reluctant to get out of here?
No, I was just reminders about the health,
Just-
joint health meeting this afternoon. I am going.
Just asking. Okay, but motion has been made to adjourn. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you.